dress for your birthday. Oh, Oz asked me to stay until Saturday morning, so my flight will get in by 3 p.m. I'm so sorry about the timing, baby.
No, 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 no. It's okay. I have plenty to do, but I got the computer set up and online, so I'm fine. However, I will remember this on your birthday.
Just don't be too mean. Oh, they're calling me now. I gotta go. Happy birthday. Love ya.
I love you too. Happy birthday to me.
Just noting something you mentioned a couple of times in referencing the difference between motion pictures and films. What type of equipment are you, I suppose, specifically you using probably since you're working on more independent things right now? What does that involve using? What type, I guess, camera or equipment at all?
Sure.
Compared to what you've worked with on, I guess, larger budget.
Yeah. Well, everything changes when you start involving film, because you not only have to deal with the director of photography, but you also have to deal with a first and second AC. Not that I don't deal with a first AC, assistant camera, but these roles are extremely vital for film, because if you don't have these roles, you're not going to know what you're doing in post-production. You're gonna have to have someone to log all of the film. You're going to have someone to slate everything. You're going to have someone to unload all of the reels, etc. So your labor force becomes far greater when you're dealing with film, which is the great thing about digital. It's minimized everything into a tiny little package, and you can be as extravagant as you would be on a film set, or you can be very minimalistic. My sensibilities tend to go right down the middle, because I like bigger shots. I like to move the camera a lot. I'm not a big handheld guy. I like to use camera stabilization, jibs, dollies, that kind of thing. And all of these things help make my projects look bigger than they really are. So I still need a lot of the same people in place, but having been a unit production manager now on 4 features, I know where I can shave people off, and what roles that I really need and what roles are just fluff. So having not answered your question, I'll move into answering it. Gear that I'm using right now, I've gone digital SLR, just because it really is groundbreaking technology. What used to require thousands of dollars in just a video camera, thousands and thousands of dollars, well, it still requires thousands of dollars, but I'm talking 10 to 20 to get a decent package together. Now you can just get a camera body for less than $1,000. Then you can get a nice lens for about $500, and you can keep on building onto your kit. So digital SLR is what I've chosen. It's what I'm shooting my first feature on. It's high definition, full res high definition, 1080p resolution. So it'll look great on a 1080p TV, and I've even done all of the testing for that just to make sure no one was pulling my chain. And another one of the cool things about digital SLR, if you look at the specs versus those of the $10,000 video cameras, or actually I think they've come down by now, probably around 8 or so. If you compare the two, $1,000 digital SLR to like an $8,000 video camera, and you look at the bit rate, the digital SLRs actually give you a much higher end signal than these far more expensive video cameras. So that's really key in cutting costs, obviously. Next up is you need a decent, I've got a decent sound package. Everything that I do is wireless, just because it's so fast and painless to set up. I can put my boom guy in a plant, 20 meters away from the camera, and we don't have to run cable everywhere for people to trip over or to get torn up or anything like that. So, and I normally run directly into camera because I've done my research. Yeah. Put a field mixer on the thing and run XLR right in directly into the camera, just like a regular video camera. Everything that I've done is to set the camera up as close to a video camera as I possibly can. So we've got the camera, we've got the lens, we've got the sound equipment. Then I have a decent lighting kit. I use Lowell DPs, which are 1,000 watts a piece. So I overlight everything, and that's actually because I started with all this video equipment. Now I can probably get more minimalistic because I don't need that much light anymore to get the depth of field where I need it to be. But then of course I've got my own jib, I've got my own glide cam setup, and but really just thinking about all of this stuff, it's great to have to make your material more dynamic than it would be otherwise, but in reality a good filmmaker doesn't need anything, at least with regards to what I've got. Mm-hmm. You don't even need close to that amount of equipment. If you're a good filmmaker, you can make it work with just a camera and a lens. And it doesn't matter what camera and lens, really. I can almost guarantee if Spielberg had just a Sony Handycam and went out there and shot something, everyone would think it's brilliant. Okay? Joe Nobody down the street, who doesn't have the training or the expertise or the artistry, can do the same thing, and he's going to wind up with garbage. Why? Because ultimately he's not trained, he's not a seasoned professional, he doesn't have the experience. So it's really all in the mind. It's what the person controlling all of the stuff brings to the table.
It began as a hobby. How serious has it become, and how serious do you think this is going to be? Like, is this?
Well, it's going to be as serious as society allows me to make it, quite honestly, and that's pretty darn serious. Said with a very serious face. No, honestly, I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. I mean, even if I'm an abysmal failure as a filmmaker, I still have the corporate work to fall back on. So there's always going to be something. There's always going to be some effort going forward. And obviously, I'm still doing corporate stuff because it pays the bills. But I have no intent on stopping. I am really, really interested to see how everyone reacts to my first feature film called Athena, facebook.com/Athena movie. That is facebook.com/Athena movie. And, that's going to tell me a lot. It's not going to tell me everything, obviously. But what it will do is, if it goes over like a turd in a punch bowl, then we just fall back and we do something else.
Mm-hmm.
We won't be able to do it immediately because there's a lot tied up in this feature that I'm working on. I mean, I'm putting everything into it, and that's how serious I am. I'm willing to wager my livelihood and my life on what I believe I am. And that's what it really takes to be a true filmmaker. You need to be willing to take the risk to believe in yourself.
As your interest has clearly gotten more serious, and you've, obviously wanting to move on from short films, how do you find that that's actually possible, and what type of progression do you need to take to try and get into the feature film and everything like that,
Everything that I do in my life is based on calculated risk. It's like playing chess or playing Monopoly or whatever board game you want to equate it to. It's all about preparing yourself to make a move. And with all of the short films that I've done, I knew there was definitely a deficit of knowledge that I had. And you have to be willing to learn that about yourself, to know that you're not perfect, you're not infallible. And the deficit that I saw, I figured that I could conquer with educating myself over and over and over again. And in order to do that, the typical fallback for a lot of filmmakers is to start doing a lot of short films. But I had a goal, I had a vision of where it would ultimately lead. When that would happen, that's kind of what you have to decide for yourself. Some people get started when they're much, much younger than I am. But I look back on everything now, and I just don't feel that I was ready to be a quality filmmaker back then. I am now, and I've actually been ready for a number of years. I've just been making sure, because I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to draw an audience to what I'm creating.
Do short films also serve, in trying to get into bigger feature films, and obviously you'll have to get a little more backing and go into convincing other people of, everything like that. Do you find that they serve as a really great, kind of portfolio that you can lay out and say, these are at least the quality productions that I can do with this much?
They can be, yes. As a matter of fact, See the Dead was responsible for getting me the present corporate gig that I have now, which that was 3.5 years ago that I got that. So I've been doing corporate on the side and doing motion picture making on the side. So one thing does tend to lead into another, definitely. But I never really had a goal to turn these into demos of what I could do, because I know that most people, investors, for example, they could care less. They're only interested in feature films you've done and the kind of money that you can bring in with an audience and that kind of thing. And I have none of that. I'm starting at square one here, and I've got to prove myself to myself, and I've got to prove myself to all of these other people, whoever they might be. Right. Now, I haven't sought outside investing because I need to first prove it to myself and everybody around me that I can do this. I mean, that's just my personal belief system. I don't believe that you should have someone investing in you if you aren't really willing to invest in yourself. I guess that's where I'm trying to go with it. You see a ton of filmmakers out there, just because it's easy now, doing these crowdsource funding projects, and they don't have anything to their credit. I can't do that. I can't do that to people. All these people doing these short films. Hey, we're doing this crowdsource short film, well, what are you going to do with it after? How are you going to get it out to people? How are people going to see it? How are you going to sell it? Why do you want to do that? So I guess to kind of bring it all back to short films and why you do them. You do them to try to get attention, not necessarily to approach investors with necessarily. You might, if you know the right people, you might be able to do that. I don't know those people. Typical film festivals, depending on the festival, I guess, they're not really about the money. I do find it a little annoying, all of these festivals popping up all over the place, expecting the filmmaker to cough up even more money after you've just coughed up, $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 into your short or feature or whatever you're doing. It's nothing but monetary gain for everyone. And then, of course, they don't even do you the courtesy of, telling you why they didn't want you to enter the film festival. So, I mean, there's a lot of competition out there. Some festivals are on the up and up, some are not. Some are based on the buddy system, and they just hope to pad their numbers with additional entries. It depends on the festival. Like everything else, capitalism unfortunately has given it a black eye.
And now, as far as getting into, moving from short to feature film, when you're going to present, trying to break into that, do you have to actually go to a producer or someone that will just at least give you the loan to start at a bank? I mean, could you get that off of, do you just need the funds, or is it like a group that you need?
Well, that's okay. It depends on the type of filmmaker you are, first off. I'm very self-sustainable. Mm-hmm. I fund all of my projects. I don't expect anyone to do it for me. I believe that you need to first believe in yourself. Some people will go and try to seek representation or a producer or whatever, but typically you're going to find that these people aren't going to be interested in you unless you have a body of work. So what do? You create your own body of work. And I chose to finance all of my own short films and get my friends to believe in me since I was believing in me. And we've cultivated a great group. I don't have everybody that I need, so I'm still doing, like I said originally, a lot of key positions, but I have a lot of people, and they believe in the projects, and that we will eventually find some avenue for some sort of recoupment. And that's sort of what it's about at this point. That's why I'm doing my first feature. It's A, a movie that I would love to go and see, but B, it's supposed to be a recoupment tool to bring money back into what we've been doing for so long. So, we're all banking on its success.
And you said that you especially do work with at least a group of people, a couple people. I noticed that you, in particular, you worked with Tara Nicole Azarian on a few things, and especially her being so young. Kind of just tell us what's that been like, and what kind of ideas does she have come up with? Because I did see she was a writer.
Yeah. Tara is definitely an up and coming writer, and she's a lovely girl, and she comes up with some very cool and sometimes very twisted stuff, which is one of the reasons why I like her so much. And so we did Sibling Rivalry first. That was sort of our getting to know you phase, and after that we did Cardboard, which was fun as well. And as a director of photography, I sometimes have a lot of power, sometimes I don't. I give my 2 cents on just about everything, and I'm certain I drove her mom, Jenny, and she up the wall with all of my recommendations and suggestions for everything, but, you know, they were all heated, and, you know, it's important to not lose sight of the fact that you're trying to make something of quality as opposed to something that's just based on what you know or what you like or how you want things done. You know, it is a very collaborative effort, and you know, I try to cultivate that sense of collaboration on my sets, not just on others. I do have the innate drive to make my voice known on just about everything, and I guess that's kind of what makes me at least an okay director. I don't know if I'm a great director. We'll find out, because I do have an opinion. That's one of the most necessary things, and a good opinion, at least quality thought out opinions.